Hey guys, welcome back. Today on The Untidy Artist, we are doing tie-dye with ice, and I'm going to show you how to do an accordion fold, which will give you these really cool geometric shapes. The ice helps create almost a kind of watercolor effect with the dye. We will be doing 3 different color combinations on 3 different t-shirts, so let's grab some supplies and get started. Obviously, the first thing you're going to need is something to tie-dye. So I have 2 different toddler t-shirts I'll be doing for my little nephew, and then a t-shirt I'll be doing for myself. Make sure that whatever you're dyeing is 100% cotton. Then you'll need some dye. I will be using powdered dyes from Rit. I chose these because they're relatively easy to find and inexpensive. You'll need some rubber bands, and I bought these on Amazon, and I think there's about 1 million rubber bands in this package. And you'll need some soda ash. So soda ash is actually sodium carbonate. You can buy soda ash that's specifically made for tie dyeing. You can use washing soda, which is essentially just sodium carbonate, or you can make your own by placing baking soda in the oven for an hour at 400 degrees. And then I have a bucket and a spoon. This is what we'll be soaking our fabric in. I have a tin that we'll be using and a baking rack I stole from a baking set I have. The dollar store is a great place to get supplies for tie-dyeing. And then I have some gloves because you will want to use gloves so you don't dye your hands. And with that said, let's go. So the first thing you're going to do is mix up your water with some soda ash. You will take 1 cup of water per gallon. My little bucket holds about 2.5 gallons, so I've got about 2 gallons of soda ash water in here with 2 cups of soda ash. And you're going to soak your fabric for about 20 minutes. Then you're going to take it out, wring it out really well, but don't twist the fabric because that will pull on the fibers of the fabric. And then you're going to smooth out your t-shirt. You're going to smooth it out really, really well. Flip it so the back is facing up, and then you're going to fold it in half and smooth it out some more. You want it completely folded in half evenly. And then you're going to start pinching the fabric and pushing it forward. So we're starting at the bottom, and essentially what we're doing is folding the fabric back and forth into what looks like an accordion. And this is what's going to give us our really cool designs on our t-shirt. So keep the folds as even as you possibly can. And I just lift up the fabric. I pinch it, I lift it up a little bit, scoot it forward. And you want to make those folds as even as you can. So work slowly in this part. And the closer you get to the top, you'll notice it gets a little bit harder to do the folds, especially around the neckline. So just do your best to get it as even as you can. Here's a little close-up. And you can see I'm just going back through and pinching and arranging those folds so that they're a little bit more even. Then I'm going to grab my elastics and I'm going to secure the fold. So I start on one side and just slide it around your fabric, keeping those folds even. And you don't want it to press on the fabric too much. You want that shape to stay like it is without squishing it in too much where the elastics are. Then I'm going to put one on the other side. And one thing that you can do with this part is if you want to kind of base where you put your colors according to the rubber bands, you can. So you'd want to have them spaced out a little bit more evenly, but I just wanted to get them on there. I don't really follow the rubber bands, but that is something you can keep in mind when you're designing your shirt. Then I'm going to go do some folds with the sleeve and put an elastic at the end and then secure that and fold it in towards the t-shirt. And here I'm showing you again doing that folding pattern on the sleeve, trying to keep those folds as even as possible, but this time I'm going to take a rubber band and twist it back and forth down the sleeve. And then I'm folding it in again and adding another rubber band to hold that in place. And I did that with all 3 of my t-shirts. And now it's time to add our colors. So I'm putting it on my baking rack over my little tin. And with this one, I'm doing pink, yellow, and blue, which will essentially give me a version of red, white, and blue. So I'm starting with the pink, and using a spoon, you're going to apply the dye directly to the t-shirt. Now, one really good tip with this is the less dye you put on the spoon, the easier it is to control where you put it. So if you don't want to dump a lot of excess dye into the bottom of the tin, just do a little bit at a time. So after I've applied my first color, I'm going to move on to my second. So I started with my red, now I'm putting my yellow on. You will want to use separate spoons for the different colors so that you don't mix the colors together in the packages. And now onto my blue. And you can see I'm just lining these colors up and I'm placing a fair amount of the powdered dye onto the shirt. And once I've done the blue, I'm going to start over with the red again. Just using a little bit at a time and applying it onto my t-shirt. And you can see these colors are going to overlap a little bit. So where the pink and the yellow is, we'll get an orange. Where the yellow and the blue is, we'll get some green. And where the blue and the pink is, we'll get some purple. And then you're gonna take some ice and place it on the t-shirt. Now this is a little size 2T, so my ice cubes fit perfectly on it. And after I've placed some on the top, I create an ice perimeter on the outside of the t-shirt. The ice will actually stick to the wet shirt, but this helps keep all the ice together and it makes it so it doesn't fall off quite as much. And you want to completely cover your project. And then we're going to wait for the ice to melt. So that was my first shirt. Now moving on to my next shirt. This one is also for my little nephew and I am doing red, yellow, and orange. So I'm starting with my yellow and I'm once again placing the yellow on the t-shirt. Then I move on to my orange and then onto my red. And this kind of gave it a cool, almost flame-like design. So the yellow, the orange, the red. Now I'm starting over again with the yellow, moving on to the orange, and then moving on to the red again. And you want to cover as much of the t-shirt as you possibly can. So use just a tiny bit at a time as you're trying to get it closer to the edges. And then once that is completely covered, I'm going to cover it with ice. Moving on to my last shirt, this one is actually mine. I'm using petal pink, teal, and pearl gray, and I love this color combination. The petal pink and the teal together are just absolutely beautiful. So I'm starting with the pink, and then I'm moving on to the teal, and then on to the pearl gray. Using that same technique, making sure that it's as evenly covered as possible, making sure I use a different spoon for each color. And when you get down to the sleeve, just do your best to kind of apply the color. So you can see I'm just putting a tiny bit of that gray on the end, and then I covered it with ice. Now, as you're watching the ice melt, I'll sometimes go back and you can see here there's some of the dye that you can still see that hasn't dissolved quite yet. So go ahead and put some more ice on it until you get it so it is dissolved. And this is what we have. So I've got my pink, my yellow, my blue, and I'm gonna flip the shirt over. And instead of starting with the pink this time, I'm gonna start with the blue this time. And this is gonna give us some more variation in the color and in the design. So I went blue, yellow, pink, blue, yellow, pink this time. And by placing a different color on the back, it really does add some cool color variations and designs to your shirt. And then cover it again with ice and wait for that ice to melt. Once the ice has melted, you will want to completely cover your project in plastic. So I actually wrap mine in plastic wrap like you'd use in your kitchen, or you can put a bag over the entire project, but you want to let it sit for 24 hours. And then it is time to open up your shirts. And it is so fun to see what designs you get. So this is the shirt that we did with the petal pink, the yellow, and the royal blue. And it will lighten up quite a bit because we're going to rinse it out. So after this, you're going to take it over to a sink and rinse it in cold water until the water runs clear. Then I put it in my washing machine on the rinse cycle and I rinse it once and let it air dry. And this is the one that was the yellow, the orange, and the scarlet red. That yellow is so pretty. Such a fun pattern. And then this one is the petal pink, the teal, and the gray. And I don't know what it is about the combination of the petal pink and the teal, but it always turns out so pretty. And I love the added gray to this. So this one is my t-shirt, and I am thrilled with how it turned out. This design in it is so cool and just so pretty. So I rinse all three of my shirts until the water runs clear. I run them through a rinse cycle individually in my washing machine, and this is the end result. You can see how those colors lightened up And this is the cute little t-shirt for my darling little nephew, both of these. I think this combination kind of looks like flames, which is really pretty. Look at those gorgeous designs. You will want to make sure the first couple times you wash your shirts that you wash them by themselves to make sure that that color sets and doesn't bleed onto other clothes in your washer. And then this is my t-shirt. And I just love how it turned out. I'm so excited about these beautiful designs and the gorgeous colors. And that's it, you guys. We're all set. I hope this gave you a fun idea for a new technique using tie-dye. I have really enjoyed using the ice with the tie-dye. I think it just gives it a really fun, unique, different way to do tie-dye. I have a fun video coming out where I use the same technique on a bandana, which is really fun. Here it is used on a cute little onesie that my mom is giving to her friend's new granddaughter. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. That would be awesome. And if you have any comments or questions or videos you'd like to see, please post those below. And as always, I appreciate your support, and we'll see you guys next time.